still waking up tired, even after what feels like a full night of sleep? For millions of older adults, the reason isn't insomnia. It's the silent habit of waking up to urinate multiple times a night, a condition known as nocturia. While it's often accepted as a normal part of aging, new research proves otherwise. In fact, 5 common evening habits may be quietly triggering these sleep disruptions. And the good news is, they're fixable. This video reveals the 5 evidence-based changes that can reduce or even eliminate nighttime urination. Each strategy is simple, natural, and rooted in real-world results. Stay tuned to transform your nights, starting today. The hidden risks of nocturia. Nocturia, the frequent urge to urinate at night, disrupts more than just sleep. Clinical studies show that even waking once per night significantly reduces deep REM sleep, which is essential for memory, immune repair, and hormone regulation. Interrupted sleep increases the risk of heart strain, cognitive decline, and weakened immunity in adults over 60. According to the Journal of Sleep Research, chronic nocturia is also linked to elevated blood pressure, reduced brain detoxification, and poor mood stability. Sleep loss triggers excess cortisol and inflammation, accelerating signs of aging like fatigue, muscle loss, and reduced resilience. Yet in most cases, nocturia isn't caused by disease. It stems from daily habits that can be changed. In the next sections, we'll break down 5 everyday behaviors that silently fuel this problem and reveal science-based solutions to help restore deep, uninterrupted sleep. Habit 1. Eating diuretic foods at dinner. One of the most overlooked triggers of nocturia in older adults is the timing and composition of the evening meal. While many individuals are careful about how much fluid they drink at night, few realize that certain foods, especially those consumed at dinner, can function as natural diuretics, stimulating the kidneys and increasing nighttime urine production. Common culprits include tomatoes, cucumbers, celery, asparagus, watermelon, green tea, chocolate, alcohol, herbs like parsley or cilantro, high-sodium meals. These foods contain compounds that prompt the body to release excess water and sodium. For example, cucumbers and celery are more than 90% water and rich in potassium, which encourages fluid elimination. Tomatoes and asparagus contain asparagine, a compound linked to increased urinary output. Green tea, caffeine, and alcohol are well-known diuretics. Additionally, sodium-rich dinners cause the body to retain water during the day, then release it at night. When lying down, gravity-driven fluid redistribution begins. This often results in increased kidney activity during sleep hours, leading to nocturnal urination even if total fluid intake has been reduced. The timing of the meal compounds the issue. Digestion takes 3 to 4 hours. If diuretic-rich foods are eaten late, after 7 p.m., for example, the digestive and urinary systems are still active while the body is supposed to be resting. This prevents the natural nighttime reduction in kidney function and leads to bladder stimulation during critical sleep cycles. Robert, a retired engineer in Florida, ate dinner around 8:30 p.m., followed by a snack, often cucumbers or watermelon, and a cup of green tea. Though seemingly healthy, these choices disrupted his sleep. He regularly woke up at 1 a.m., 3:30 a.m., and again before dawn. After learning about the diuretic effects of certain foods, Robert made 2 key adjustments. He shifted his dinner time to 6 p.m. and eliminated diuretic foods after 4 p.m. Within 10 days, he reported waking only once per night. 3 weeks later, he was sleeping through the night for the first time in years. What to do instead? Eat dinner at least 4 hours before bedtime. Avoid diuretic foods in the late afternoon and evening. Choose sleep-friendly alternatives such as sweet potatoes, carrots, lean proteins, oats, and bananas. Eliminate caffeine, chocolate, alcohol, and salty snacks after 4 p.m. These simple dietary adjustments, supported by sleep and nutrition science, can drastically reduce nighttime awakenings and restore restorative sleep. Habit 2. Bedroom temperature and sleepwear. While diet and hydration often take center stage in discussions about nighttime urination, Few people recognize the powerful role that bedroom environment, specifically temperature and sleepwear, plays in regulating nighttime urine production. The body's internal systems, including fluid retention and hormone secretion, are highly sensitive to temperature during sleep. Core body temperature naturally drops by 1 to 2 degrees Celsius during the first half of the night. This decrease is essential for entering deep sleep stages and for activating melatonin and vasopressin, two hormones that influence circadian rhythm and kidney function. Vasopressin helps concentrate urine and signal the kidneys to reduce urine output at night. However, when a bedroom is too warm or sleepwear traps heat against the skin, this thermal drop is disrupted. As a result, melatonin production declines, vasopressin levels fall, and the kidneys continue producing high volumes of diluted urine. Studies from the National Sleep Foundation and the European Sleep Research Society have shown that excessive room temperature during sleep is associated with more frequent awakenings and reduced sleep efficiency in older adults. The ideal bedroom temperature for seniors is between 64 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. This range supports the body's natural cooling process without triggering shivering or thermal stress. Additionally, lightweight, breathable sleepwear, such as garments made of cotton, bamboo, or linen, allows for better moisture regulation and airflow. Eleanor, a retired schoolteacher in Miami, struggled for years with waking up 4 to 5 times a night to use the bathroom. She attributed it to aging and bladder issues. But her bedroom was consistently above 75 degrees, and she wore heavy flannel pajamas even in the summer. After learning about the link between sleep temperature and nocturia, Eleanor made 2 changes. She installed a quiet, energy-efficient fan to lower room temperature and switched to thin cotton sleepwear. Within 1 week, she was waking only once per night. After 3 weeks, she consistently slept through the night without interruption. To implement this habit, keep bedroom temperature between 64 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Use fans, open windows, or adjust air conditioning as needed. Avoid synthetic or heat-trapping fabrics. Layer blankets for adjustability instead of using a single heavy comforter. Choose moisture-wicking materials if prone to night sweats. Optimizing your sleep environment is one of the simplest yet most overlooked ways to support hormonal regulation and reduce nighttime urination naturally. For many older adults, it is also one of the fastest changes to produce results. Habit 3. Drinking liquids too late. For many adults over 60, limiting fluid intake before bed seems like common sense. Yet, despite drinking less water in the evening, they still wake multiple times to urinate during the night. The issue often lies not in how much is consumed, but in when and what types of fluids are taken in the hours before sleep. Physiologically, the body prepares for sleep by adjusting hormone levels. One key hormone is vasopressin, which tells the kidneys to slow down urine production at night. Vasopressin is most active when the body begins cooling down and transitioning into deeper sleep stages. However, when fluids, especially soup, herbal teas, watery fruits, or even medications dissolved in liquid, are consumed within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime, they can override this natural process. The kidneys continue filtering and producing urine during the early hours of sleep, which leads to frequent bladder activation and sleep disruption. Late liquid intake also interferes with bladder signaling. As people age, the bladder becomes more sensitive to small volumes of fluid. Even moderate intake in the evening can cause a full bladder sensation sooner than expected, triggering premature awakenings and limiting time spent in restorative REM sleep. In practical terms, this means that a bowl of soup at dinner or a calming tea at 8:30 p.m. might feel relaxing, but can initiate a chain reaction that leads to multiple nighttime awakenings and next-day fatigue. Margaret, a retired librarian from Arizona, had been waking 4 to 5 times every night for years. She reduced her water intake after dinner, but still drank a cup of chamomile tea before bed and occasionally enjoyed broth-based soups at dinner time. After learning about vasopressin and the impact of fluid timing, Margaret began a structured routine. She stopped all fluids, including tea and soup, by 6 p.m. She also shifted her hydration habits to earlier in the day, drinking most of her water before 2 p.m. Within 2 weeks, Margaret went from 5 nightly bathroom trips to just 1. After a month, she experienced her first full night of uninterrupted sleep in years. She reported increased energy, sharper focus, and greater confidence in leaving the house without fear of sudden urgency. To apply this habit, set a liquid curfew. Stop drinking all fluids, including tea and soup, at least 3 hours before bedtime. Shift hydration to the morning and early afternoon, when kidney function is naturally more active. If medications require evening fluids, speak with a healthcare provider to adjust timing safely. Keep a small amount of water by the bed for emergencies, but avoid sipping out of habit. This single behavioral shift, timing fluids correctly, can dramatically reduce the frequency of nighttime urination, improve sleep quality, and restore daily energy and well-being. Habit 4. Urinating just in case before bed. Many older adults have adopted the habit of urinating just in case before going to bed, even when they do not feel a strong urge. This routine may seem harmless or even helpful, but over time, it can lead to unintended changes in how the bladder functions. The bladder is a muscular organ designed to stretch and store between 300 to 500 milliliters of urine before signaling the need to void. However, it is also highly adaptable. When it is emptied too frequently, especially when not full, it gradually begins to accommodate less volume and signal urgency sooner than necessary. This process is referred to as bladder conditioning or reduced bladder capacity through behavioral reinforcement. When someone routinely urinates before the bladder is full, they inadvertently train their nervous system to trigger the gotta-go feeling even when only a small amount of urine is present. Over time, the threshold for urgency lowers, and the bladder sends unnecessary signals that disrupt sleep, despite being far from full. This learned pattern contributes to nocturia by creating a false sense of bladder fullness at night. Studies from the International Continence Society confirm that premature emptying reduces the bladder's stretch receptors' efficiency and contributes to nighttime frequency, especially in adults over 60. Dorothy, a retired widow in Seattle, made it a ritual to use the bathroom every night before bed, whether she needed to or not. She believed it was a smart way to prevent accidents or interruptions during the night. But instead, she found herself waking up every 2 to 3 hours with the urge to urinate, even when only small amounts were voided. After learning about bladder retraining, Dorothy began a gradual strategy to rebuild her bladder's capacity. She only went to the bathroom when the urge was clear and undeniable. If she felt anxious about skipping the just-in-case trip, she distracted herself for 15 to 20 minutes with music, reading, or light stretching. Within 3 weeks, Dorothy reported sleeping 5 to 6 uninterrupted hours per night. She felt more in control, more confident, and less dependent on routines rooted in fear. How to correct this habit? Only use the bathroom at night if there's a genuine need to urinate. If unsure, try waiting 15 to 20 minutes with a calming activity to gauge if the urge is real. Avoid habitual pre-bed voiding that is not based on true physical need. Speak to a healthcare provider if managing conditions like incontinence or fluid overload. Retraining the bladder to function at its full, natural capacity is possible at any age. By eliminating unnecessary voiding patterns, many seniors experience significantly fewer awakenings and deeper, more restorative sleep. Habit 5. Sleeping in poor position or with improper pillow support. Sleep position may seem unrelated to nighttime urination, but biomechanics and circulation play a critical role in how the bladder and kidneys function during rest. For older adults experiencing nocturia, the way the body is positioned at night can either reduce or increase bladder pressure and urine production. When someone sleeps on their stomach or with excessive pressure on the lower abdomen, they may unknowingly place physical force on the bladder. Even if the bladder is not full, this mechanical pressure can mimic the sensation of fullness and trigger an urge to urinate. Similarly, Improper pillow positioning that affects spinal alignment can increase abdominal compression and worsen urinary sensitivity. Additionally, gravity influences fluid redistribution. Throughout the day, fluid often pools in the lower legs and feet, especially in older adults who sit or stand for extended periods. When lying flat at night, especially on the back, this retained fluid begins to return to the bloodstream. The kidneys respond by increasing urine output, often during the first few hours of sleep. This phenomenon is made worse by poor circulation or lack of elevation in the legs. Inadequate pillow support beneath the knees or between the legs while side sleeping can interfere with venous return and trigger nighttime urine production. Case study: Frank, age 71. Frank, a retired military veteran from Colorado, had been waking up 2 to 3 times a night for years. He always slept on his stomach, a habit formed in his younger years. Despite adjusting his fluid intake, his nighttime urination didn't improve. After learning about sleep positioning, Frank gradually trained himself to sleep on his left side, using a pillow between his knees and a medium-firm pillow under his head to maintain neck alignment. He also elevated his legs slightly in the early evening to support circulation. Within 2 weeks, Frank reported waking only once per night. After a month, he consistently slept 6 to 7 hours without interruption and noted less back pain and morning fatigue. To apply this strategy, sleep on the left side, which improves digestion and circulation. Use a pillow between the knees to keep hips and spine aligned. Avoid stomach sleeping, which increases bladder pressure. Keep the head neutral, not elevated too high or too low. Consider elevating the legs 30 to 60 minutes before bed to reduce fluid buildup. Proper sleep posture is one of the simplest non-medical interventions to reduce nighttime urination. When the body is positioned correctly, internal pressure decreases, blood flows more efficiently, and the bladder is less likely to signal prematurely during sleep. 5 common nighttime habits may silently worsen nocturia: eating diuretic foods late, sleeping in a warm room with heavy clothing, drinking liquids after 6 p.m., urinating just in case, and poor sleep posture. Each habit, when corrected, supports better bladder control, deeper sleep, and improved next-day energy. Start by adjusting just one habit tonight, whether it's shifting dinner time, cooling your bedroom, or skipping that last cup of tea. Small changes compound into powerful results. For more science-backed health tips, subscribe and join a growing community committed to sleeping better and aging stronger, one night at a time.